All right, welcome back, everybody. We are making some progress here, and in this one, we are going to look at death and how to reset a scene and how to get some sound effects going when we get hit and all that good stuff. So we are getting more closer to a final sort of game here, even though it is basic. And we've got an enemy attack that we just added in the last one. If we play that right now, we got our enemies that will follow us around. They will chase us. They will attempt to attack us. But when they actually make connection, they don't actually do anything. They just push us around. So now what we want to do is we want to actually make something happen when they actually hit us. Okay, and in order to do this, we're going to make a script called enemy collision. We could build this into other scripts as well, but I like having my scripts separate so I know exactly what they're doing. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a new script, a new C# script, and I'm going to call it enemy collision. Okay? And inside this script, when I double click and go into here, we are going to get rid of the update. We're not actually going to use the update at all. And in order for us to detect a collision between an object, we've actually done this already. We are going to create a separate method for that. It's going to be a private void on collision enter. Okay, now this is a special type of command that is built into the Unity engine commands. So this detects a collision. And what we're going to use here is we're going to actually look for a tag. And so if brackets collision dot game object, okay, so a collision with a game object, dot compare tag. So we're going to use those tags to look for an object that has the tag enemy. All right, so we are going to be looking for something to happen if we have a collision with an enemy. We're going to create our brackets and we're going to get ready for this to happen. Excuse me. So let's just do a quick little check. So let's make a debug log and we'll just have it say collision with our hero has occurred. So if a collision is detected, it'll say collision with our hero has occurred. Okay? And so this is a real simple script. We're going to use the start after, that's why I left it. But this is a real simple script that just checks for a collision with the game object that we specify with an object that has the tag enemy. And we haven't looked at custom tags yet, so let's save this. Let's go back into Unity and we'll go to our deadly cubes, which is our enemies. We got 3 of them. To create a custom tag for an object with the object selected, we go up here to tag and we can go down through these ones that are here. I've already made the custom tag, but if you want to make one called enemy to match what I'm doing, you go to add tag, put your tag name here, you hit plus, and you add a new tag, and then you'll be able to pull that tag from the list. So each of these enemies, each of these deadly cubes is going to be tagged as enemy. Okay, so let's do that for each cube. We're going to tag them, and each cube is going to be an enemy tag. And now when we play this, oh, hang on, we haven't attached this to anything. So our script, our enemy collision script, has to be attached to our player. Okay, so we want our player, maybe our character model. Let's do it to the player. That's the actual block. It makes more sense. Enemy collision gets attached to the player. All right, and we've already got the move control script here too, but that's okay. We can add as many as we want. So we now got the enemy collision script attached to the player block, and it's looking for collisions with other objects called enemy. And if it works right, it should put out a message to our console that says a collision has occurred with our hero. So let's see what happens. Let's press play. And away we go. Here we go. And we get hit. There it is. You can see the message appearing every time we hit an enemy. We get a message in our console here, which means that it is working perfectly. All right. So we got that working. Now let's go back to our project here and let's go into our enemy collision and let's have it actually do something. Let's have it actually control our game a little bit here. So let's say if we get hit in this game, this game's gonna have no mercy whatsoever. Basically, if we get hit, we die and the game restarts, okay? So in order to do that, we have to load our scenes. And up in the libraries that we're using here, we're going to add a new one. It's called using Unity Engine dot scene management. Okay, scene management allows us to have a bunch of commands that relate to loading and working with scenes. And before I go any further, in order to load a scene, we have to know what scene we are in. And the way we check that is we go into our file here and we go to File, Build Settings under File. And you will see in our scenes here a number. You can click Add Open Scenes if you don't see the number. And you'll see that the scene we're working with is attached by a number, and right now it's 0. And if we had multiple scenes, let's say different levels, we would have numbers here. And those numbers are what we're going to use to load the scene. So right now we've only got one scene, so it's going to be 0. All right? So let's go back, now that we know that, let's go back to enemy collision. And after we put that message out, let's just use this simple command, scene manager dot load scene brackets 0. So what we're telling it is after we detect a collision and after we output this to our console, we are going to reload scene 0, which is the scene we are on. We're going to save that and let's see if it works. Play. And here we go. Let's get hit. And there we go. You can see that it now resets every time we get hit by an enemy. So it's working beautifully. So that's how you can reload a scene. You can also use the load scene to attach to buttons, so it can, you can choose like a play option where it'll tell you what, start the game. It'll go to the scene that you want it to go to. You can also use that to, there's a lot of things you could do with that option. Load scene is super useful. Now, let's say we want our enemy or our character to play a sound when he gets hit. So basically play a sound on demand. We're going to go to Assets here. We're going to go to Audio. And we're actually going to bring in this sound called Death Sound. Okay, it's in the folder. And let me just play it. I'm sure you'll recognize it. It's the death sound from Roblox. So we've got that death sound in there. And what we're going to do is on our player, we are going to add a component. And the component, you'll see I've already searched this, audio source. And that audio source is going to be the death sound. We attach it to the player, okay? So far, so good. Now we also have to tell our script to play that sound when we die. So we got to go to Assets, we got to go to Scripts, and we got to go to Enemy Collision. And inside here, we're going to add 2 variables, and they're going to be above the start. We're going to put a public audio clip, audio clip, and it's going to be called collision clip. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it collision clip. This is the actual audio clip itself. And then private, which is just for this object alone, audio source, which we just added, is going to be audio source. Audio source. Okay? So we are going to attach that sound effect to this player. And then in the start, we are going to define what those are. So audio source will equal get component. So we'll have to attach the sound. Audio source. Okay. And then bracket like that. Not curly bracket, but bracket. There we go. And then we also have to assign it a clip. So audio source dot clip equals collision clip. Okay, whoops, capital C. It has to match the variable we created above. Okay, so what this is doing is attaching that sound to our document right at the start, to our script, sorry, as soon as this starts. And then all we have to do down here is when a collision occurs, we put audio source dot play. And what that'll do is it will play audio source. And because we've set this all up previous, it will play whatever sound is loaded in the component that we put in there. So let's see if it actually works. Let's save. Before we do it, we're going to have to actually attach it to our character, or player, sorry. And here's where we're going to do that. We've already done it in audio source, but now you'll see we also have it here in collision clip. I'm going to go to audio, death sound. We're going to put that into the collision clip. And when we press play, you'll actually hear it because it loaded it, but we should also hear it when we get hit. There we go. It's a bit of a delay because there's a bit of a pause. Yeah, there's a bit of a pause before it plays. Let's say we get the chest and then we keep going here and get killed. Ah, see, there's a problem here. Even though we died, our pickups are still at 1. So technically what we should do is we should also go into our script here. Go into enemy collide, and also before it loads the scene, we should set our global variables, which we created ages ago, dot pickups, which was the variable that controlled that, and we're going to just put equals 0. So it resets that to 0 when we get killed. All right, so let's save that. And let's see if everything works. So I'm purposely going to avoid these guys. I will fix that issue where it plays at the start. We got our pickups, and then we get killed. And you can see it goes back to 0. So this is working beautifully. All right, that's where we're going to end on this one. That's how you create a death sequence. We're going to get into actual maybe reset screen rather than just a straight reset to the, we're going to actually have a screen that says you died or something. We'll get into that. We're also going to get into animation states, which will allow us some cool things like, he'll actually die. He'll actually fall and die. And we'll also get into maybe some actions like having our character be able to fight back or something like that along the road here. But basically, the whole point of this one is how to load the scenes. That's super important. How to detect collisions with custom tags, and also how to play sounds on demand. So again, these are all things you're going to need with your own games. So hopefully you found that useful. Stay tuned for the next one.